Have you ever been blindsided by emotions when watching an otherwise happy and wholesome anime? How did you feel? Did you feel a deep resonance with the character in that moment and even feel the same emotions they did? Maybe you completely broke down and are still reeling from the sudden shift in tone. Being caught off guard by a heavy moment can both be the pinnacle and also the lowest point of an anime depending on how it's executed. And of course, while some shows just occasionally sprinkle in the hard-hitting scenes, some shows make their mark by creating an emotionally diverse story that ranges from elation to despair in a matter of a few moments. Sometimes you need to feel sadness to fully appreciate the happiness that comes later. An anime can provide you that feeling in abundance. There's many shows that might seek to cheaply draw out your emotions without truly earning that resolution. But there are also a good number of shows that truly scale that mountain the right way. So today, allow me to introduce a few anime that have earned that place in my heart. And hey, before we begin, I wanted to quickly thank you all for the support on the channel so far. We've almost reached 100 subs, and I'm very thankful for all of you. Anyway, back to the video. I'll begin with the story that hits its emotional stride as early as episode 1, To Your Eternity. To Your Eternity follows the story of a nameless entity granted the ability to transmogrify into other entities that it has seen or interacted with in a meaningful way. We see the entity become one thing after another, eventually taking on the form of more and more complex life until, inevitably, it takes on a human appearance. But because it doesn't know any better, it leads a simple life of wandering and gaining knowledge slowly through experience. We learn quickly that the being is immortal and can regenerate from massive amounts of damage. Eventually, this almost endless cycle of death and reforming leads the entity to meet a young girl named March. March gives our entity the name Fushi, from which he will be known for the duration of the series. Fushi learns more and more about the world and what it means to be alive as he adventures. March and many others will go on to influence Fushi's journey as he begins to form bonds and care for those around him. But in a world where he alone is blessed and cursed with immortality, he's forced to deal with the cruelty of the world through the loss of those around him. Where Fushi always lives on, others grow old and fade with time. If you knew that you would outlive everyone you've ever loved, would you still seek out the companionship of others? Or would you isolate yourself so that you didn't have to experience this endless cycle? These are all questions Fushi must face as he continues to learn and gather more experience. To Your Eternity will make you feel sadness and maybe even despair at the events that our immortal being goes through. But trust me when I tell you to keep going forward on this one, because there might just be more to Fushi than you might have first thought. A show that could very much catch you off guard is Made in Abyss. You might be fooled into believing this is a mostly innocent show about exploration and beautiful vistas. Well, the exploration part and beautiful vistas parts are true, but this show is as mature as they come. We're introduced to this world through a young girl named Riko. She's exploring the upper levels of a giant pit known as the Abyss, finding minor relics and trinkets as she goes, eventually making a big discovery in the form of a strange boy named Reg. As they return home, we learn a bit more about the unique properties of the Abyss. The Abyss is broken up into different levels as you make your way down, but depending on what level you descend to, making your way back up will have more and more harsh consequences. From the relatively low depth that Riko and Reg were at, the effects of coming back up were minimal, relegated to only minor headaches and some fatigue. But as you venture deeper, the effects become quite severe, eventually reaching a point where you can no longer go back up at all, or you will very much no longer exist. Or, at the very least, you won't exist in the same way you found yourself in previously. And even though the risks are well known, it doesn't deter Riko in the slightest. She wants to not only explore the safer upper levels, she wants to go all the way down to the bottom of the Abyss. And thus, the journey of Riko and Reg begins. We see the true depths of despair and anguish that many have experienced after embarking on this very same journey. And some of this same tragedy even befalls our own duo as they venture forth. Enjoy the visuals, relate to the characters, and take in the absolutely stunning atmosphere set up by the otherworldly soundtrack. But never forget, the abyss pulls no punches. The idea of having something important to say to someone but never getting that chance can weigh on you for a very long time. In the story of Anohana, this becomes reality for our main character, Jinta. When he was very young, he once had a school friend named Minma confess her feelings for him, but before he got the chance to express how he really felt, Minma got into an accident and passed away. And the group of friends that the two once shared then splintered off and mostly didn't communicate anymore. And as fate would have it, one day Jinta meets with Minma in the form of a spirit. Minma tells him that she has a wish she wants to fulfill before she can be at peace, but she can't remember what the wish was. So Jinta takes on the task of trying to help Minma be at peace, but also come to terms with his own regrets around never telling her how he felt. In the quest to figure out her wish, Jinta attempts to get the old friend group back together in hopes that they will have some idea of what Minma's wish could be. After having drifted apart, the group slowly begins to remember why they were all friends in the first place. The resolution being one of the most heartbreaking but also heartwarming moments in anime history. Don't wait until next time to say how you feel, because you never know when there might not be a second chance. I've touched on this next one briefly in a previous video, so check that out if you're interested, but the next show I want to bring up is Your Lie in April. A young musical genius named Kosei has all the piano talent in the world, but with a less than ideal playing environment, he's all but given up on music entirely. He can't bring himself to even touch the piano he so long excelled at. And when he does, he feels as though he's deep underwater, and he can't make sense of what's going on. Beyond that, Kosei no longer even sees the world in color. His whole world has become bland and devoid of meaning. That is, until he meets Kaori. Kaori is a talented young lady herself, boasting a high skill level on the violin. And she attempts to break Kosei out of the slump he's found himself in and even expresses desires to play with him on stage. And boy do they ever perform on that stage. And as time passes, we see Kosei slowly make progress while the two of them continue to get closer as well. We eventually learn that Kaori has been terminally ill since she was very young, never really getting to do the things she's wanted to do. But playing music with Kosei has been one of the high points of her life thus far. Even still, Kaori never stops pushing Kosei to achieve the greatness he's capable of, culminating in one of the greatest performances that he has or maybe even ever will perform. The hardships and the triumphs these characters share is a wonderful experience, and Your Lie in April is truly beautiful from start to finish. It's difficult to not get emotional when dealing with the discovery of the meaning of emotion, or more specifically, the discovery of the meaning of love. In Violet Evergarden, our character by the same name embarks on that very journey of discovery. Once a tool for war, Violet now finds herself in times of relative peace, her harsh upbringing having left her mostly without complex emotions as they weren't needed to accomplish her missions. The one person who began to instill some sense of self into Violet was then taken away from her, but not before telling Violet that he loves her, a phrase that would almost haunt her as she tried to understand what love meant. To help her understand, she takes on a job as a memory doll. As a memory doll, she essentially writes letters for people who cannot read or write themselves. And by being forced to convey the powerful feelings that others have for each other, Violet hopes she can also learn what the phrase, "I love you," truly means. At the start, Violet comes off as almost robotic. She types very matter-of-fact, as though she's writing a debriefing and not a personal letter. Slowly, however, she begins to grasp the complexities of human emotion and starts to understand what was told to her all that time ago. Violet's tale of self-growth is inspiring to watch, and you may even discover some new emotions of your own right along with her. If I went over all the anime that made me emotional, we'd be here a long time. I'm not usually one to get emotional over media, but something about anime just clicks with me. and these were just a few that stood out immediately to me. I would love to hear what anime have brought out an emotional reaction in you. And not just sad reactions, just any strong emotion. The discussion's always enjoyable. And genuinely, thank you all so much for the support on all the videos so far. We're getting close to that 100 subscriber mark, and I never thought we'd get here so fast. So, thank you all again. And with that said, I look forward to seeing you there, fellow anime lovers. Bye bye for now.